Hey, what is going on, guys? My name's Steve. I'm from Vetra Gaming, and I'm joined with the Eminence crew, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Eminence today.
Yeah, I'm here as well. Matt's here. Yeah, so some of you might not have known about this game before. You might not have seen the Kickstarter page. You might not have seen it on the Steam Greenlight program. And if you're one of those people, then we have the guys who are gonna, tell you about this game and are gonna educate you a little bit. So, guys. For their sake, people who are unaware of this, what is Eminence all about? And also, what's the backstory behind this game?
Okay, well, I'll kick it off talking about the game, and maybe Petra will tell you about the story. So basically, what Eminence is Eminence combines three popular genres, which is an MMO, a trading card game, and a role-playing game to collect a card collecting role-playing adventure. So think Final Fantasy meets Hearthstone, with a bit of Guild Wars, all of that combined. And the actual backstory, Petra, you want to maybe tell them a bit more about the story?
Sure. So the backstory revolves around a sun that goes through a 10,000 year rebirth cycle. So what happens is, after its 10,000 year period, it will go into a collapse, pretty much obliterating the whole civilization, allowing room for a new civilization to come apparent. And your quest as an individual is to help an alchemist uncover the mysteries of how to save the sun. So you embark on these single-player quests throughout the game, which sort of revolves around the ability to kind of, go from the MMO aspect into the single-player story as well.
Yep, and on the MMO side, obviously you have sort of the exploration of the virtual world, and you go around basically collecting these cards, which are quite integral to the story. So as you collect these cards, you learn more about, you piece together a bit of the story as a whole. But what you can do with the cards is you can engage in a very competitive PvP game, where the winner, if you beat your opponents, you can actually take and steal their card and add it to your collection. So that's one of the ways in which you can collect these cards. You can win them in battles from your opponents, or maybe even from your friends if you want to be a bit horrible. But that's how you sort of build it all together.
All right. And Steve, you were talking to me about the artwork for this game when we were at EGX. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask about that?
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask is that, what was your inspiration behind the artwork?
Very good question.
It's a very in-depth question.
both me and Petrus collaborated in the art direction of the game, and we wanted everything started from the story, and because we had such a rich and detailed history behind it, we wanted the art style to reflect that too. So we looked at things such as which had rich histories in them too, like Egyptian hieroglyphics, stained glass windows in churches, Greek pottery, that sort of stuff, and then we sort of combined it with our own interests, like things like fantasy art, cyberpunk, Asian fantasy, Gothic art, to create something which was hopefully new and cool.
Awesome. It definitely seems like very kind of unique kind of style to it, and I think that's probably what caught both me and Steve's attention with the game initially. In terms of the combat, for those who aren't, you said when we asked about what Eminence is about, you mentioned about you had these cards and you could trade them. Could you tell us a bit more about the card battle system, like stuff with the like down to the anatomy of the cards, the battling, and even like stealing other players' cards when you beat them?
Sure. So basically, the game is played on a 3x3 grid. Both players are dealt 5 cards, from their decks, and you can choose which cards you want to begin a duel with. And these will be the cards from the ones that you collected. And all cards are ranked with 4 numbers on the edges. And the way it works is you have to capture your opponent's cards, and you do this by placing your card next to theirs, where the numbers on the edges are compared. And if your number outranks theirs, you capture their cards, and the person with the most captured cards wins the game. But where it that's sort of the fundamental mechanic. But where it gets interesting is, as you progress through the game and you advance your rank, you can also unlock some of the more advanced rules, and these rules change the mechanics of the game. You can start doing things like combos where you trigger multiple flips and capture multiple cards at once, and the game starts to become more strategic. As I pointed out earlier on, so one of the key things of this is the victory. When you beat your opponent, you can actually steal their card, and you can actually decide how many cards you want to wager. So you can decide, okay, between you and your opponent, you want to wager 2, 3, up to a maximum of 5 cards. It just depends on how risky you want the game to be.
So if you're feeling really cocky, you could just say like, yeah, I'm gonna put 5 cards up that you could just take all of them. If you're someone who's really cocky.
Yeah. If you're that confident, and you've got a lot of skills, then you can wager all 5 cards. But if you lose, you can lose those 5 cards as well.
Yeah.
And you can reclaim them, but it's up to your opponent to want to challenge you again. If they could just be bad and just go, oh, you know what, I've got your cards now, I'm not going to play you again.
We've also got a really good sort of like guild system set in place as well. So going in at 1v1, you can go into a segment where you can sort of go into 5v5, 4v4, 3v3, etc. And in which case you can claim a guild castle. So there's a sort of competitive element behind Eminence besides the PvP aspect as well.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is, I know this is very recent. Not too long ago, you brought up this new pet concept for the game. I don't know how this question is going to go. It might be a very short one, because I just wanted to know if you had any information you could tell us and the people watching or listening, or is it still in such early stages of like planning that stuff that you don't really want to?
I mean, at the moment, we're just sort of refining the pet system. I mean, the things that we want to do with it is, like, for example, if you're, you tame your pet, you look after it, sort of like a Tamagotchi or even a Pokemon to an extent. But yeah, you can teach it tricks. You can get it to, hunt for rare loot, for example. So, if you log in one day, your pet can come back and say, look, it found this rare piece of helmet, or it can come back with nothing, or really, crappy loot, in which case you can go off and sell it at the marketplace. But yeah, we're still kind of looking into what ways we can add more functionality for the pet system rather than it just being an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, it's still an early concept thing. It's just something that we thought would be quite cool to have. Typically with other MMOs, you have this notion of mounts and things like that. So.
I mean, I hopefully I can, have my own pet when I get the game, because I can see them being very useful. Because I could just be lazy and be like, yeah, just go get some loot for me. I don't want to get it. But Steve, did you have any other questions you would like to ask?
Yeah. Obviously, with the game currently being on Kickstarter, what kind of rewards will people receive if they decided to back this project?
Do you guys want to take that?
Obviously, there's quite a long list, but I guess you could give an overview of.
So, I mean, we've got everything from, Eminence coins to Kickstarter exclusive gear. So, if you were to pledge early, then you could pretty much get stuff that will only be available through Kickstarter. Things like, helmets or armor, certain accessories. Beyond that, we're also allowing early beta access as well. So you'll be part of the initial team of people that will help us provide feedback once we've kind of launched an early access demo of the whole experience.
Yeah, I think there's some of the key things as well is if you pledge higher, you gain the opportunity to really contribute towards the game. So some of the higher rewards allow you to create your own cards. You work with the Petros and John and some other designers to create your own cards, which you have in the game. And there is even another one which allows you to create your own division. So you'll get a chance to have your very own division, and you can begin with the entire card set of that division. And I think our final reward pretty much gives you exclusive access to a lot of things. It's called the Eminence tier, and this literally allows you to create a bunch of stuff in the game. So you work with us, you create your own sort of instance in an open world where it could be like a town, and you can have your own NPCs and build your own side quests. It's just giving players the opportunity to really be to contribute to a large part of the game development.
That sounds, so far from what I've heard from the Eminence so far, it sounds, I just, when it eventually gets backed, I just can't wait to get my hands on this. But my last and final question is, what is the plans and terms of platforms that this will be available on initially, and what will it be on at consoles eventually?
Yeah, initially, we're aiming for smartphones and tablets, so iOS and Android, and we plan to do a PC port down the line as well. Obviously, initially what we did, we had stretch goals for each of these different platforms, but I think one of the things we realized that we saw very strong demand for a PC port, and that's something we've decided to start factoring and preparing for right after the smartphones and tablets. And we do plan to release on consoles further down the line too.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, they are the game is on the Steam greenlight process, so if you give it a yes vote, if you want to see this game on Steam, then it's best to go on there, just search it up, say yes, I'd like to see this game on Steam, and you're one step closer to actually having this game on Steam. Is there any final things you'd like to say or add?
Please back us!
Yeah, I think that pretty much says it all.
Yeah, that basically sums it up. Yeah, so if you guys have, if you've liked what you've heard in this interview, if you like what you've heard, you like what you've seen on the Kickstarter and everywhere else, definitely back it. I'm not suggesting you to back it. I'm not asking you to back it. I'm telling you to back it. So I demand you do, because they're only around. I think at the time of us doing this recording, it's 78% funded. Unless I refresh 80%. It again, 80%. Okay, yeah. So it's jumped since I last checked it. So 80% funded pretty much. Have a few days left, and they need all the support they can get. So definitely back it if you'd like to see this game. And other than that, until our next videos, we will see you guys later. Goodbye.